Hello and a warm welcome to Through Lucy's Lens weekly videos where I go somewhere interesting and hopefully you will find them interesting too. My name is Lucy, I'm a social historian and your very nosy friend. I am here in Doughty Street in London where I'm going to visit and view the first adult home of Charles Dickens, my favourite author, and I know many of you are big fans too, and you've been asking for this and I've been dragging my heels, but I'm here and I'm excited, so let's go and have a look around. But before we do, I just want to let you know I do read your comments and I do take notice of your feedback, and some of you have said less close-ups, more wide panning shots, but I'm going to let you into a secret. Often when I'm doing these videos there are other people in the room and it would be unfair for me to be filming members of the public without their permission. So I do my best to get the widest shots I can, but bear with me because you wouldn't want to be filmed either, I'm sure. So let's go and have a look. Welcome to 48 Doughty Street, the only surviving London residence of author Charles Dickens. When I think of Dickens today, it's really easy to forget just how famous he was in his own lifetime. His novels were published initially in monthly parts and awaited with excitement from people around Great Britain and the world. Families would gather to hear new instalments read aloud, and because they were available at quite a low price, they were able to be seen, read and listened to by the masses. Dickens became one of the first true literary superstars, often described as the rock and roll author of the Victorian era. Dickens moved into this house on the 25th of March 1837, shortly after marrying Catherine Hogarth, and lived here until December 1839. He lived here with his wife Catherine and their young children. Two of their daughters were born in this house. Dickens' brother Frederick and Catherine's teenage sister Mary Hogarth also lived here. During these short years, Dickens completed the Pickwick Papers and wrote most of Oliver Twist and Nicholas Nickleby. Doughty Street was a respectable, gated, middle-class street, worlds away from the slums Dickens described elsewhere, but of course were ever present just streets away. The contrast between comfort and hardship was personal for Dickens. At just age 12, his father was imprisoned in the Marshalsea debtors' prison, forcing Dickens into factory labour at Warren's blacking factory. He later wrote about this time, "No words can express the secret agony of my soul." This is the dining room. This dining room represents the domestic stability to Dickens, which was a luxury he lacked as a child. Here the family gathered for meals that symbolised warmth and security, scenes mirrored in many of his novels. For Dickens, the idea of home was powerful precisely because he'd once nearly lived without it. It shaped the compassion he brought to stories of hungry, neglected children. One of the reasons I love Dickens is he allows the voices and sufferings of the poor to be heard. Charles Dickens was a prominent social justice campaigner and a political activist who used his novels and journalism to expose and critique the severe social inequalities and injustices of Victorian Britain. Here in this room, however, he enjoyed gatherings and meals with a growing number of famous friends. Regular guests included Daniel Maclise, a successful painter, William Macready, a famous acting manager, and Charles's best friend, writer and critic, John Forster. Interestingly, one of the favourite meals of Dickens was toasted cheese, a man after my own heart. An interesting piece in this room is the grandfather clock. It was made in 1724 and was formerly owned by a pub landlord, a Moses Pickwick, whose surname he borrowed for the central character of the Pickwick Papers. As well as cementing Dickens' reputation as one of the most successful novelists in the English language, The book popularised sayings that have since passed into common language, such as butterfingers and devil may care. Dickens liked to collect names, and he made notes to remind him of the sound of interesting names, some of whom ended up in his novels, just like Mr. Pickwick. This is the morning room, and this room would have formed the centre of household management. Catherine Dickens, his wife, organised family life here, supervising the children, writing correspondence, looking through the accounts and looking after the servants. Victorian domestic labour performed by women was rarely acknowledged. Yet without Catherine's work, Dickens' productivity would have been absolutely impossible. This is the study and Dickens' writing sanctuary, and as you can imagine, it's one of the most popular parts of the house. He worked under immense serial publication deadlines, and he would have written relentlessly here. From this small desk came scenes that reshaped social awareness and created characters crushed by circumstance rather than their own moral failure. Dickens' writing desk is one of the museum's most popular and important collection items, but it's important for me to note that this wasn't the writing desk that would have been used in this room. Dickens purchased this mahogany desk in 1859, and it was used at his later residence, Gad's Hill, until his death in 1870. After his death, many artists depicted this desk and chair in artworks mourning his passing. This is the drawing room, and here Dickens would have received guests, including publishers, writers, artists, and of course it was so lovely for me to visit when it was dressed for Christmas. This room really reflects his rapid rise into respectable society. Yet despite this comfort, Dickens refused to forget the suffering he had known. Poverty in his novels never becomes abstract. It remains specific, human, and urgent. In this room, you'll find one of Dickens' lecterns. He became famous for his public readings, not just in Great Britain, but also in America. Dickens adapted the usual lectern design by requesting a box to be built atop of the podium. This change was made so that Dickens would have the place to rest his arm during what were usually 2-hour readings. During his readings, he would dramatise his stories from a special reader's copy of the text. What I particularly love about Dickens' public readings as a Brummie, that's somebody from Birmingham, is that A Christmas Carol was Dickens' first public reading, and on Tuesday the 27th of December 1853 he did this in Birmingham Town Hall. He gave 3 readings at Birmingham Town Hall altogether, but only on the proviso that the third reading was available to all at a low price. Thousands queued to hear the reading of the book, and he struggled to start the cheers being so loud and rapturous. On an earlier visit to Birmingham, Dickens had offered to give his first reading here to help raise funds for the Birmingham and Midland Institute, a facility and reading room for the poorest in the city to access education. He didn't agree with raising money for such a facility without involving those who it would benefit most. Dickens remained very fond of my hometown Birmingham and was given a ring by the city made in Birmingham's Jewellery Quarter. Dickens later became a president of the Birmingham and Midland Institute, and just before he died, he came to make a presentation in the city. He said, "I have a deep bond for Birmingham, but this ring I shall wear until the day I die." He died not long after, and it was reported in the Birmingham press that Birmingham had lost a great friend. Upstairs you'll see Dickens' dressing room. This is a quieter, intimate space, reminding us that Dickens was prone to exhaustion and emotional intensity. This sensitivity, I believe, fed the emotional realism of his work. Dickens was known for his meticulous personal grooming and was well aware that his public persona and outward appearance was highly important towards him becoming a well-respected and memorable member of Victorian society. This is the bedroom that Charles shared with his wife and contains original furniture owned by the couple. I particularly enjoyed seeing the commode and the slipper bath, showing even in this world of Victorian modernity, there was still no plumbed-in water or bathroom facilities. In May 1837, tragedy struck in this room. 17-year-old Mary Hogarth, his sister-in-law, collapsed and died suddenly after an evening at the theatre. Dickens was devastated and wrote, "I solemnly believe that so perfect a creature I shall never see again." This incident may be reflected in some of Dickens' books, where the untimely demise of a female heroine character is quite common. Next door was Mary Hogarth's bedroom, and her death profoundly shaped Dickens' emotional life and strengthened his empathy for themes of premature loss and innocence shattered by misfortune. The impact of her death is also reflected in many of Dickens' novels and stories where young women meet an untimely and tragic loss of life. Mary liked Charles and believed he was a wonderful husband for her sister. We know moving forward that Charles has been viewed as problematic regarding his relationship and treatment of his wife, but for now, in this house, they were happy. Downstairs in the basement, and for regular viewers, you will know already that this was my favourite part of the house. Below stairs is always a place where I feel most at home, and as usual, these areas remain unexplored by many visitors. These working spaces reveal the hidden labour of Victorian households: cooking, laundry, cleaning, hauling coal, all performed by servants whose lives rarely enter the historical records. There's no evidence that Dickens employed orphans directly in his household, as it is sometimes believed. But what is well documented is his hands-on charitable reform work. And apparently he was also very good to his servants. In 1847, Dickens co-founded Urania Cottage with Angela Burnet Coutts. This was a residential home for homeless and vulnerable young women. Dickens personally interviewed residents, designed educational programmes, supervised daily life, and arranged safe employment placements. His involvement with this was described as the closest personal supervision, sparing no pains to understand the individual character of each girl. There's also a lovely nod to Victorian pest control in this kitchen: a hedgehog. The hedgehog would be kept in the kitchens as part of the family, part employee, to eat insects. I loved this, and it just compounded my belief in spaces like this, that where there's muck, there's magic. Down here you can also see Dickens' extensive wine cellar. Dickens was a well-known lover of an alcoholic beverage, also frequenting pubs and inns, as well as having his own collection of wines, Madeiras and sherries. Towards the end of the video, I'll be giving you a glimpse into one of these pubs he was rumoured to visit. But for now, let's move on to the nursery. Upstairs is a nursery area, and I love this room because it recalls Dickens' own childhood hardships. You know me, I always find the joy in sad things, blessing and a curse of loving social history, I guess. But inside this room there are 2 window frames. Professor Slater, one of the world's most highly regarded Dickens scholars, claims that these are the 2 artefacts displayed in the house that Dickens himself would be most pleased to see. First is the window from the attic bedroom from a childhood home at Bayham Street, Camden Town. From this window, as a boy of 11 years old, Dickens would peer out across the city of London and daydream and create stories about the city. Furthermore, to note from this window, he would have had a clear view of the nearby Strand Union workhouse, where he would have seen the comings and goings and been acutely aware of this building and its foreboding reputation. The second window is from a house that Dickens saw on one of his walks, and he based this window on the window that Bill Sikes pushes Oliver Twist through to perform the robbery.
Yes, but we don't know how to use it. Yeah, well, it's...
Gosh, do you ever have those moments in your life when everything that could go wrong goes wrong? Well, this is what has happened with this Charles Dickens video, to the point where I've even thought, is Dickens calling me from the grave saying, Lucy, leave it, skip it, don't do it? Because there's some other things I desperately wanted to show you of the Charles Dickens Museum, the Foundling Museum just down the road, Borough Market, and also the George Inn where he went for a drink. And I had all this lovely footage, but it's gone. Hurrah! So I'm going to go back and get it for you, because I'm also got a video coming up about a ragged school and I need that footage. So I'm going to go back to London in my Christmas break and I'm going to get that footage. However, for the sake of this video, if I don't post this video today, it's never coming out. I've got to that point. You know, you get to that point as a human being, enough is enough. So I just want to apologise that this is finishing a little bit abruptly. The museum was amazing. Video would have been more amazing if I could have tied it all together, but that's life, hey? That's life, and I hope I gave you a little bit of information. It's a great place. It is first and foremost a museum. Downstairs, of course, was my favourite area. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of the Charles Dickens house, the Charles Dickens Museum. I thought it was wonderful. It's definitely a place you need to go or you need to see if you're a fan. I could have made this video probably 10 hours long. It's a good job I didn't, the way things have happened. Talk about technical differences. Oh! Anyway, there are more Christmas videos coming out. In the next few weeks, the schedule is going to get a bit bonkers. I've got loads of stuff that I'm just going to be randomly releasing once I start my Christmas break. So I really look forward to seeing some of you there. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, like, comment, do all that uncomfortable but necessary YouTube video business. It really helps me. It really does. Thank you for your support. Sorry if I let you down on this one. It's just one of those things, but I needed to get that video out today. So hopefully you'll enjoy what I managed to pull together. With love always, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.